Vinny, what's up, my fellow YouTubers? All right, so this is what I got going. I've been thinking a lot about your setup you had for your uh, with your perpetual magnetic current video that you made, setup that you had going on, and I'm pretty sure I'm beginning to understand what's happening. This system is a communication system, is what it is. And the reason I say that is because in audio equipment, in speakers, you have a coil of wire and you have magnets, and that coil of wire vibrates with the frequency inside the magnet, and it's connected to the cone, which produces your sound, which gives you a natural resonant amplification. Anyways, this is working a little bit differently. However, when this magnet sweeps past this coil, your PMH, and I know you've got them connected together in series. I don't have that drawn, but that's what's going on, and that's fine. Coming out of there, you're multiplying. You're going to a rectifier and you're multiplying with capacitors. You're multiplying. You've got multiplication going on times 2. You're then amplifying by going to a bigger DC cap and then to another DC cap. So you're amplifying 2 more times. And then you've got LEDs connected to those caps so that when they build pressure, they will fire. And then you connected your field winding all the way around in a circuit, and the 2 ends go to a capacitor. And then that capacitor, sorry, I'm messing this all up. And then that capacitor then goes up. What I would do is come up to the center, and I would have a center tap that just rotates perfectly, and then a small connector that fits over that wire, and then have you a little ring connector set up, because your outer ring is going to rotate, and you want something to contact that, so build something. Anyways, it's just a little rotary contactor system, and it's insulated from the shaft and all that. Anyways, you then have that from your capacitor that's connected in between, so that would make it a closed circuit. Not necessarily, because your 2 plates, they don't connect. It's an open circuit, but it's able to receive a charge. And then you've got that connected to your 2 diodes. Now, I'm not sure if you have it connected to just the one capacitor and the one set of and the one set of diodes, or if you have it connected in parallel across the 2 caps. I'm not sure. I've got it drawn parallel because that's how I would connect it. But then again, trial and error. So what I realized what's going on from watching the video is you give the wheel one little nudge and it moves. You move it past the breaking point. So So on your wheel, when you give it a little nudge and you move your magnet past the breaking point and to where this one takes over and it flops the field, when it moves past that breaking point, it fires the LED. At the breaking point, it fires the LED. And when it fires the LEDs, they're connected to the field windings, the capacitor, and the field windings. So whenever it rotates, when it breaks that point, because you're in attraction mode, so when it breaks that point, your opposite magnet takes over this pole. This would become a north. So it goes from in to out. When the poles flop, this whole field situation flops. So when you rotate the stator, when you rotate the wheel to the other magnet, it pulses the light and sends a pulse into an amplified signal of its own signal, because this magnet is sending a signal to this coil, and when it moves and breaks, that signal then travels through and pulses in the LED and pulses into this coil. And because remember, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So the action of breaking this past the first point, all the weight and inertia of the wheel moves it to the next breaking point, and when it reaches the next breaking point, your charge has built up at that breaking point. It fires the LED, which induces an opposite reaction in your coil, which overcomes your 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 first charge, because your first charge is small, okay, represented by these small rotational lines. Then once it goes through the circuit, it becomes amplified, and your coil emits a stronger amplified opposite spin, which relieves that tension at the breaking point and pulls it on through like a vacuum. It sucks it on through, because you have tension. The field flops, and then it pulls. There's a push and a push and pull. And the same thing that's going on here is going on over here on your other PMH, just the opposite. It's doing just the opposite. If this PMH is pulling, this PMH is pushing. In a sense, it's working together like a whole bunch of gears. And then this is your key. This field winding is your key. So for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction, and that's why you could get the wheel to commutate itself all the way around all 24 poles by just moving it one pole. You move it one pole and it would commutate itself around. Now, the reason it may have stopped is because you may not have had enough capacitance right here. Another reason is your magnets could have been out of a line between like two of your magnets. Could have been out of a line, could still be out of a line. Might want to check that, make sure they're all perfectly equally spaced. I'm sure you did before you did your concrete, but I believe there was a little bit, I believe I could see a little bit bigger of a gap in between where it made the stop, where it didn't quite push it. And I think that's why. So may want to check that out. That might have something to do with it. Yeah. So that's what I've got drawn out. That's what I think is going on. Now, if you look at an LED, it's very interesting that if you look at an LED up close, that's what it looks like. And I'm not sure what these materials are made of, but this is some sort of plastic. It's some sort of dielectric, and then you have a gap. And then when the charge jumps across that gap, it emits light out of the top of here. And I believe it even sparks across. Now, I'm not sure, but from what I understand, from what I can see here, this is a spark gap. And I think when they fire, it's 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 uh, it's responsible for sending a pulse back or for sending that power in through your coils. Because every time these light up, it's at the breaking point and then it pushes past. And then they go out after it pushes past and it rotates around to the next one to the breaking point and they light up again and it pushes past. So what's going on is a communication, and you're amplifying that communication, and you're communicating to the wheel what to do with the signal and the components and the position of everything that is set up. So you just have to take everything into consideration, and I love what you're doing, buddy. And I'd love to link up with you sometime and show you what I'm working on. I just got my lab back. It's not much of a lab, but at least it's someplace to work. I lost everything about a year ago, and if you go back to my videos from a year ago, you'll see what I was working on and how far I had gotten. And anyways, yeah, so I lost all that stuff, and I'm in the process of rebuilding. So, just wanted to say good job, and I hope my understanding of what's going on here is helpful to you, because I'm learning right there with you. I've been at this for well over 10 years now, right along with you, buddy. And yeah, I'd love to chat with you sometime. So listen, in the meantime, take care, and I will see you next time.